Welcome to How to Study the Scriptures from a Hebraic Mindset. As with all of the courses at Ephraim's Cry Academy, this isn't just another Bible course. It's a call to return to the ancient path, to the covenant foundation, to the lens of Scripture that Yahusha himself used. You will learn to stop reading the Bible through Greek philosophy and Western theology, but instead you will learn to study with clarity, function, and obedience through a Hebraic lens. This course will equip you to rightly divide the word, line upon line, precept upon precept. If you have ever known something was off in what you were taught, you're not crazy. You're being called back. This course will show you how to study the Word as it was meant to be studied, with covenant in view and Torah as the foundation. This is more than just instruction. It is truly a call to return, a restoration to what has been lost, a return to the original way the Scriptures were written, studied, and lived before tradition corrupted the truth, before the Greek philosophy distorted the foundation, before the covenant was reduced to convenience. We're going to rebuild from the ground up, line upon line, precept upon precept, not through opinion, but through obedience, not through theology, but through Torah, and aligning with the ancient texts and understanding. Whether you're new to Hebraic study or a seasoned disciple of Yahuah, this journey will equip you, challenge you, and root you deeper in His Word than ever before. You were never called to interpret the Scriptures your way. You were called to study, to show yourself approved, and walk in what is written. So let's begin our introduction. Before we dive into the details, we need to ask a simple but sobering question. Why does this study matter? Simply because today's modern church is drowning in confusion. Doctrines compete, denominations divide, teachers twist verses out of context, and believers build entire belief systems from fragments of truth, or worse, from inherited lies. This didn't happen by accident. It happened because we abandoned the original way the Scriptures were meant to be understood, the Hebraic way, with a Hebraic mindset and understanding. We were never told to interpret the Word through our culture, emotions, and tradition. We were told to obey it. But the Western church asks, what does this verse mean to me? While the Hebrew heart asks, what did Yahuah say, and how do I walk in it? This study matters because how you study determines what you believe, and what you believe shapes how you live, and ultimately, whether you stand or fall in the days ahead. Our first section lays the groundwork, the foundation on which everything else is built. If your mindset is wrong, if your framework is broken, if your lens is distorted, then no matter how sincere your study is, you'll be building on sand. Chapter 1 confronts the core issue, the Hebrew mind versus the Greek mind. Most believers today unknowingly interpret Scripture through a Greek lens, focused on theory, abstraction, and debate. But the Word was written by Hebrews for Hebrews in a covenantal, action-based culture. Until that's restored, truth will always be distorted. Chapter 2 shows us the structure of Scripture, Torah, prophets, and writing. The Bible wasn't given as Old Testament versus New. It was one unified revelation. Yahusha taught from the Tanakh, not from the modern book division. Understanding this structure is essential to seeing the full picture. Chapter 3 reveals the covenant lens, the key to interpreting all Scripture. What if your reading contradicts Torah? It's not truth. This chapter teaches you to test every verse, prophecy, and doctrine through the standard Yahuah established. In chapter 4, it reminds us of the authority of the Tanakh. When Shaul told Timothy that all Scripture is profitable, he wasn't talking about the New Testament. It didn't exist yet. He was pointing to the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. And finally, in chapter 5, it calls us to return to a Hebraic way of study, not through theology, denomination, or tradition, but through obedience, covenant, and clarity. Because this isn't about information, it's about transformation. These 5 chapters will reset your foundation and prepare you to rightly divide the word. Once the foundation is laid, we move into the second section, how to rightly divide the word. In these next 5 chapters, we learn how to interpret Scripture the right way, not through tradition, assumption, or emotion, but by cutting straight and aligning with Torah. Chapter 6 begins with exegesis versus eisegesis. Exegesis draws truth from the text. Eisegesis forces our own ideas into it. One leads to obedience, the other leads to deception. This is where many fail. Chapter 7 introduces the Hebraic principle, line upon line, precept upon precept. Truth builds progressively. This chapter trains us to follow the divine order laid out in Isaiah, not to jump to conclusions or skip steps. Chapter 8 calls us to study to show yourself approved. This is not a casual reading. It's labor. It's craftsmanship. The Greek word used here means to cut straight like a priest, not to twist the word for convenience. In chapter 9, it teaches us that context is king. If you don't know the who, what, when, where, and why of the passage, you're likely to misinterpret it. Context guards us from distortion and deception. And finally, chapter 10 unlocks covenantal patterns and prophetic parallels. From Genesis to Revelation, Scripture flows in cycles: covenant, failure, judgment, restoration. Recognizing these patterns is key to understanding prophecy and applying the word today. This section trains you not to just read the word, but to handle it like a skilled laborer. Because in a time of deception, only those who rightly divide the truth will stand. Once you've laid the foundation and learned how to rightly divide, you must then be equipped with the tools to discern. Because in the last days, the greatest threat isn't atheism, it's deception dressed as truth. Chapter 11 teaches us to test every teaching. We're told to test the spirits, test the prophets, test the message, because wolves wear sheep's clothing. Satan masquerades himself as an angel of light. This chapter trains you to be a Berean, not a blind follower. Chapter 12 examines the dangers of proof texting and partial truths. Anyone can quote a verse. Even Satan did that. But quoting a verse doesn't mean teaching truth. You'll learn how to identify manipulation and cut through the false teaching. In chapter 13, it introduces keywords and word studies. Hebrew is a concrete language. Words have depth, texture, and movement. This chapter shows you how to use word studies as a tool for uncovering original meaning and covenant context. Chapter 14 reveals how to spot the patterns of deception. From the garden to modern pulpits, the enemy uses the same tactics, questions the word, twists the commands, redefine the name. This chapter unmasks the strategies of the enemy and the serpent. Chapter 15 gives you discernment in the last days. As delusion increases, the remnant must rise with clarity. You'll learn how to walk in the Ruach, weigh every message, and remain grounded no matter the storm. This section equips you for war because this is not just a study, it's a battle for your soul. Part 4 of this study brings everything together, the final 5 chapters that lead us into restoration and readiness. We begin with chapter 16, the name above every name, the Father and the Son restored. This chapter exposes one of the greatest deceptions in modern religion, the replacement of the true names of Yahuah and Yahusha. You'll learn why their names matter, how they were removed, and why restoring them is not just about pronunciation. It's about covenant, identity, and worship in spirit and truth. As we press further, in chapter 17, restoring the foundation, identifying the corruptions, we examine the roots of deception that run deep in modern Christianity and Judaism. From mistranslations to man-made doctrines, this chapter pulls back the veil and reveals what has been hidden for centuries, the full extent of what must be unlearned. Chapter 18, the returning to the covenant, the way, the truth, and the life, becomes the turning point of this entire study. Here we begin to rebuild what was lost. This is where we restore the original foundation, the covenant, the commands, and the true gospel of the kingdom as taught by Yahusha. The false system is torn down and the ancient path is revealed. In chapter 19, the 2 houses of Israel scattered, sifted, and restored, we retrace the prophetic pattern throughout history. We uncover what really happened to the house of Ephraim and how it was scattered among the nations, and how that scattering was part of Yahuwah's master plan to reach all nations with the call to return. Finally, in chapter 20, walking in the ancient path, a renewed mindset for a restored people closes the journey with a call to transformation. This isn't about information, it's about revelation. This chapter invites us to walk differently, study differently, and live differently as true disciples who have returned to the covenant and are preparing for the return of the King. This final section is not just the end of a study, it's the beginning of a new life, a new way of understanding. It is the call to return, to be restored, and to walk out the word with understanding, obedience, and covenant faithfulness. Before any scroll was ever written, before Moshe inscribed even one word on parchment, the covenant was spoken aloud, even before creation itself. It wasn't first a text. It was a voice spoken in eternity that became a thunderous voice from the fire, from the thick cloud, from the mountain that shook. The people trembled, the earth trembled, and the word of Yahuah went forth. Too many today approach the scriptures as if they're just a book. Flat words on a page, disconnected from power, from presence, from person. But this study is different. This is not just about reading a Bible. It's about returning to the voice that spoke it. Before theology, before denominations, Before doctrines and systems and seminaries, there was a covenant spoken, sealed, burning with fire. And if you are truly listening, that voice is still speaking. This study is not about information. It's about revelation. It's about restoration. And it's about returning. Not about gathering facts, but encountering the fire. Because if the covenant was spoken first, then we must learn to hear first before we can understand what's written. The question is not whether you own a Bible. The question is, do you hear the voice of the one who wrote it? This is not just another study. It is a call to unlearn everything you've picked up from religion, tradition, and opinion. To relearn what the word of Yahuah actually says in its original context, in its original meaning, and through its original lens. And most of all, it's a call to return. Return to the covenant. Return to the ancient path. Return to the voice that thunders from Mount Sinai and now speaks through his Son. Every page of this study guide was written to challenge your assumptions, to provoke deeper thought, and to call you out of passive belief into active obedience. If you've been confused, misled, frustrated, disillusioned by modern Christianity, you're not alone. But this course is going to help you see what was always there right in front of us, just hidden beneath the surface by centuries of distortion and deception. The question is not, do you want more information? The question is, are you ready to return? Because the door is still open, but it won't stay open forever. Let me be direct with you. Don't buy this book. Don't buy this study guide. Don't pay for this course. We're giving it to you for free when you enroll in any course at Ephraim's Cry Academy. That's right, this full course, How to Study the Scriptures from a Hebraic Mindset, along with the complete printed study guide, is yours as a bonus the moment you join any other course in the academy. Why would we do that? Because your foundation matters. Before you walk into our deeper teachings on covenant, discipleship, the name, the prophetic timeline, the kingdom, you need to know how to study. You need to understand what lens to read the scriptures through. You need to see the word from the beginning in the right context. This course is valued at over $400, but it's yours free when you register for any full-length training inside Ephraim's Cry Academy. This isn't about selling a study guide. It's about building your foundation so you can follow the path we're walking with clarity, understanding, and purpose. So again, don't buy this study guide. Don't pay for this course. Pick a study that speaks to your spirit, and we'll include this one as your bonus, because we're not here to sell information. We're here to build disciples. Now it's your turn. You've seen the structure. You've heard the invitation. You know what this course is all about. So here's what to do next. Open the study guide, whether you read it online or hold it in your hands. Start with chapter 1. Take your time, pray, listen, and let the Ruach guide you as you begin. Watch the course videos. Each chapter has a video to walk with you step by step through every insight, every question, and every revelation. You won't just learn, you'll be transformed. And most of all, engage the process. This is more than just a course. This is discipleship training. This is about restoring the ancient way. This is about becoming someone who doesn't just study Scripture, but walks in it. So don't delay. Don't just think about it. Start the journey. The voice is calling, the path is open, and the time is now. Thank you for watching and for walking this path with me today. If this message has spoken to your heart, if it challenged you, strengthened you, or helped bring clarity to you, would you help us get it to others? Please take a moment to like the video, to subscribe to our channel, and to share it with those who are seeking truth. We're not here for numbers or applause. We are here to sound the cry, to wake up the remnant, and help to prepare the bride for the return of the King. So if you believe in what we're doing, help us spread the word. Let us reach as many as will hear before the door shuts. Shalom to you and your house. Stay strong, stay faithful, and stay grounded in the word of Yahuah.